When you look at the ground, what do you really see? For most of us, it's just, well, dirt. But what if I told you it's not just dirt at all, that it's actually one of the most complex and vital living systems on our entire planet? Today, we're going to dig deep into the incredible world of soil.
So let me start by asking you a question, and I want you to really think about this. Forget oil, forget diamonds, forget gold. What is the single most important resource that supports pretty much all life as we know it? I mean, it's the source of our food, a lot of our clothes. It's literally the foundation of our world.
The answer? It's right under your feet. It's soil. And listen, this isn't something that just shows up overnight. This precious thin layer that we all depend on has taken thousands of years to form. It's been this slow, patient dance between geology and biology.
So what is it exactly? Well, at its core, soil is this amazing mix. You've got tiny little rock particles, you've got organic matter, all the decomposed stuff that we call humus, and then you have water and air mixed in. All of these things come together to create a truly living, breathing system.
And if you were to actually dig a cross-section, you'd see it's not all the same. It's arranged in these layers, which we call horizons. Right at the top, you have Horizon A. That's the good stuff, the topsoil, just bustling with life and nutrients. Go a bit deeper, and you hit Horizon B, kind of the transition zone. And way down at the bottom is Horizon C, the parent material, where the whole amazing process of soil formation kicks off. Okay, so now that we've got the basics down, let's narrow our focus. Let's take a journey across the vast and incredibly varied landscape of India. Because the soil here isn't just one thing, it's this rich, beautiful tapestry. And this map tells that story perfectly. Every single color, every pattern represents a completely different type of soil. Each one has been shaped by the unique climate, the rocks, and the plants of its region. It's almost like a roadmap of the country's natural history, written right there in the land itself. Now check out this number, 40%. That is how much of India's total land area is covered by just one type of soil. Its sheer scale makes it the most widespread and, you could definitely argue, the most important soil in the whole country. So, what is it? We are talking about alluvial soils. The easiest way to think about them is as a gift from the rivers. They've been transported and dropped off over thousands of years in the Great Northern Plains and river valleys. These soils form the agricultural heartland of India. This is the soil that grows the wheat and rice that feed hundreds of millions. It is, quite literally, the foundation of the nation's breadbasket.
But, not all alluvial soil is created equal. You have Khadar, that's the new fine silt that gets deposited by floods every year, which makes it incredibly fertile. And then there's Bingar, that's the older stuff, found further away from the rivers. Both are super important, but that Khadar soil, that is a farmer's absolute best friend.
All right, let's journey south now, to the Deccan Plateau. This is the home of black soils. You might also hear them called rigor soil or famously black cotton soil, which, gives you a pretty big clue about the crop that absolutely loves it here.
So the really cool thing about black soil is its high clay content. It swells up like a sponge when it's wet and then shrinks like crazy when it dries out, creating these deep cracks. And this process actually aerates the soil all by itself. It's this amazing phenomenon called self-plowing. This soil is also fantastic at holding onto moisture, which is obviously a lifesaver for crops during the dry seasons.
Now, in other parts of the Deccan Plateau, especially where there's less rain, we find red and yellow soils. That reddish color, it comes from iron that's diffused in the rock. And here's a fun fact. When this soil gets wet, when it gets hydrated, it takes on a yellowish color. Its fertility really depends on the texture. The finer grains are pretty fertile, but the coarser stuff, not so much. And finally, let's take a look at laterite soil. Its name comes from the Latin word later, which means brick, and that's so fitting because it's often cut into blocks for construction. This soil forms under really intense tropical conditions, super high heat, and tons of rain. All that water washes away or leaches most of the good nutrients, leaving behind a soil that's rich in iron and aluminum. So, okay, we've got this incredible, diverse foundation of life, right? A living system that supported civilizations for ages. But there's a problem, a really serious unfolding crisis. This living skin of our planet, it's thinning. It's being worn away, degraded, and lost at a rate that is, frankly, pretty alarming.
The technical term for this is soil degradation, and what that means is this soil is losing its health, it's losing its nutrients, and it's losing its actual depth. This is mostly driven by erosion, the physical washing or blowing away of topsoil, and you guessed it, by damaging human practices. And this is what that loss looks like. Just look at the difference. On the left, you see healthy, productive land held together by a web of life. And on the right, you see land that's been scarred by gully erosion, completely stripped of its fertility, unable to support crops or really any vegetation. The contrast is just devastating. So, what's causing all this? Well, look, erosion is a natural process, but our activities have cranked it up to an 11. Deforestation rips out the tree roots that act like a net holding the soil together. Overgrazing strips away the protective cover of plants. And yeah, poor farming methods, especially on steep slopes, can let all that precious topsoil just wash away in a single heavy rainstorm. It's a pretty bleak picture, I know. But it is not the end of the story, because just as human activity can cause this problem, human ingenuity can absolutely be the solution. And this right here is a perfect example of what I'm talking about: terrace farming. By cutting these steps into a hillside, farmers slow down the flow of water, which stops it from just washing away all that precious soil. It's a simple idea, but it's an incredibly powerful technique. And that's just one of many really smart solutions. We've got things like contour plowing, which works with the natural shape of the land instead of against it. We can plant shelter belts of trees to create these living windbreaks. And there are smarter ways to farm, like crop rotation and mixed farming, that actively build back the soil's health. These aren't just ideas on paper, they are proven tools in our arsenal to protect and restore the very ground that feeds us all. Which brings us to this final, really crucial thought. Plans and policies are important for sure, but ultimately, conserving our soil comes down to the people who are out there working the land every single day. It's a shared responsibility that really rests on all of us who benefit from the ground beneath our feet. So the question isn't just how can we save our soil, but maybe what role will each of us play in making that happen?